Mhm. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Dreamers DAOnload. Today, we're thrilled to traverse the multidimensional realms of psychedelic art with our special guest, Nuwan Shilpa, a visionary artist from Sri Lanka. Nuwan's work brilliantly captures the complexities of human experience through a psychedelic lens. We're truly privileged to have you with us today. I'm going to bring Nuwan up on the stage. Hello, hello. I'm going to unmute your mic. Okay, can't. So you choose to. There you go. Welcome to the show today. We're so
Great.
happy to have you. But before we delve into the conversation, we have a special announcement for our viewers. We're offering a chance to win a poet with your artwork. So to enter, simply retweet the show information and link that's at the bottom of the screen. And so it is so wonderful to get to meet you and see all of your work. And so can you tell us a little bit more about your journey into becoming an artist? What's inspired you to choose this path?
Yeah, sure. So I would say I got started on my art journey somewhere in 2013-ish. That's when I kind of
10 years.
yeah. So it's hell of a journey to say the least.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was actually I was studying for my undergraduate degree program in architecture.
Right.
I was it's like late 2011, 2012 ish, and I was in State University of New York, Buffalo. Uh, so I was doing my degree, and it's at that time pretty much I feel like my passion for making art kind of got rekindled almost. I think it's a combination of having to sort of start sketching and drawing again for the program, and combination of that and having the sort of privilege to visit some just mainly just one great museum, the Albright Knox Museum in Buffalo.
Right.
That
So where did you go to school? You mentioned it. I didn't catch it.
Undergraduate degree in SUNY Buffalo, New York.
Yes. Yeah. I have colleagues that went there.
So yeah, and while I was studying for my degree, and this sort of this rekindled passion for art, and at the same time, that was also during that time when I sort of just started to experiment with various meditation things, just starting read about that, and also I'm a big fan of sort of the psychedelic experience, so to speak.
Right.
And sort of it's kind of like all those three sort of passions for meditation, psychedelics, and art kind of converged.
Right.
And it got to a point where I just was it was like one day I was like, yeah, this is what I have to do. Art is the thing. So I kind of made a decision. I pretty much dropped out of the degree program, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do art. Make that the sort of primary thing and focus of my life. And
Right. Well, architecture is artistic, so I can see how that kind of converged. Are you still in the States or did you go back to home?
mm, yeah, I'm at home now. I'm in like Sri Lanka. So
Okay.
after 2013, after I made the decision to like completely pursue arts, I was like, okay, like I flew back home, and since then I've been in Sri Lanka. Yeah.
Right, right. So, do you do art full time or do you do something? Do you have other jobs or?
Well, the idea was to do art full time, which is rather elusive,
Yeah,
like
right. Yeah, I mean,
times. But it's
yeah.
been on and off. I used to do like design work and stuff,
Right,
as
right, right.
design work, and
Yeah. So, do you
uh,
have clients around the world?
not so much more, some local, some international, but like, and like, it's been kind of like hustle. I've never sort of followed through with any sort of employment as such, because I just wanted to as much time as possible, like spend on the art.
Right.
I just do various things to get by, so to speak.
Right, right. No, no, that's I hear that a lot from artists who just have that they find moments of when they can do this, but it's really a drive that's beyond their regular life, so to speak. And I'm not sure of the laws and stuff in Sri Lanka, but are psychedelics legal there? So are
No,
you able to no?
no.
Okay.
That's the entire. I mean, even when it comes to cannabis, it's still illegal. Like so.
Right, right.
It's
Well, we're fortunate in
taboo
some states in the US
subject.
that,
Yeah.
and I'm in Colorado, so I'm
Oh,
fortunate that we have legal cannabis. And actually, they just passed a law so that we have legal magic
psilocybin.
mushrooms,
Yeah.
psilocybin. So, it's helped a lot. I was involved in the cannabis industry, so I helped a lot of people that were with PTSD and other things. Um, you use psychedelics to inspire your creativity. Ho Can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, what's your process? Or
I think like I mean my sort of first encounters with sort of psychedelics as like various substances would be at a recreational level, like initially. Then it's like it took me a while and to sort of understand like it's a like a whole new approach to it, like then sort of
Mhm.
arming myself with more knowledge and getting to see more like art and things that are inspired by sort of psychedelics, and like this like entire series of visionaries who are like uh, I would say like approaching it from a more sacramental point of view.
Right, right.
So since then, I mean, I still uh, use it recreationally as well from
Right.
time to time. It's but my focus is mostly, like I like to sort of experiment with it from like I said, like from as a sacrament. Like sort of using it as a sort of tool to sort of dive in to sort of also like my own self, but also as a like tool to sort of explore and understand everything else also.
Right, right.
Both like not just a tool for like introspection, but for something that is it's a great tool to look at the world as well.
Right, right, right. No, I mean, I think it opens up your mind to new things, and I mean, we're so limited. I watched a video or a show yesterday about like what we see, and it was we see such a limited view of the world. I mean, and anyway, they're researching it. I have a link on my Twitter feed that talks about it, but it It's so exciting to see all the research, the brain research, the things that are going on with psychedelics and the other things that you're exploring. And I think in the beginning you spoke about the religious or your meditative aspect of it. And what can you explain to me about what Theravada? I can't pronounce this.
So
Pasana
yeah,
meditation is. I mean,
so Theravada is a school of uh, Buddhist teaching, right? So there is like
okay,
perhaps three major schools of Buddhist philosophy and teaching, which is like one is the Mahayana, which is like the more concentrated towards China and that side of the world. And then sort of you have the Theravada school, which is again like Southeast Asian, like Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, that
okay,
side of the world. And then there's like somewhat like Vajrayana, which is sort of focused more towards the Nepal and Tibet side of things. And
okay.
so uh, with I mean they have like various like I mean it's the same core thing, core principles and all that. It's just the arrangement of it, I would say, and the approaches are somewhat different. So within the Theravada tradition, I think this is also in other Buddhist teachings schools as well. But the sort of two primary sort of meditative process is kind of broken down into um, two main things, which is one, how would I say it? Let me see. Yeah, Vipassana, which is one of them. Which is the other one. I think it's like more towards samadhi, or how would I say it? More towards concentration. That's I guess the not the best translation, but like
Right,
but yeah, Vipassana is mostly, I would say, it's a insight focused meditation.
right,
Again, it's like an umbrella term for a lot of different meditative practices, but the
right.
main focus of those practices are in developing insight, as opposed to certain other sort of like this samadhi related practices, which requires like a lot of focusing of mind and
Mhm.
sort of that concentrative aspect. So I
Right,
found that the sort of insight practices have been sort of more conducive to my own temperament, as a like, because there's like so many various types of meditations and these things you can do, and part of the thing is trying to find which works for me. That was a journey in itself,
right.
but yeah, so it's
Well, and
I
you've been practicing this your whole life, or has this been something you took on as you became an artist, or
Yeah, yeah, it almost happened like I was saying, like almost parallelly. So while I was in the States, I was already like kind of reading about it and all that, right? But
Mhm.
I have the sort of background knowledge of a lot of like Buddhist doctrine and
Were you
teaching.
raised as in a Buddhist family?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, I was. I went to. I mean, even throughout like school and so. And Sri Lanka is predominantly a Buddhist country
Country.
as well. So the kind of background has always been there, but I've never ever like taken any sort of religion
Mhm.
seriously, or I'm like like throughout my sort of like even like teenage and younger years, I would say I to still to this day, I mean, I have respect, but I have like a sort of secretly despise organized religion, like, but,
Yeah. No, I understand. I kind of feel the same way.
yeah, so but this meditative aspect was very interesting because and now it was like it gave like a framework or like a practice, something that can be done, you
Right.
know so I was reading up on it, and then once I got back to Sri Lanka, I was it really sort of I found the sort of atmosphere to sort of really sort of put it to the test, sort of practice it.
Right.
Because I was actually planning one of my earlier things. One of my first things that I wanted to do when I got back was to go on this pilgrimage that there is in Sri Lanka, which is like a 4 month long pilgrimage. That's related to Hinduism. Uh,
Hmm.
but I'm like fascinated by Hinduism as well, and it has, like perhaps that psychedelic influence is what kind of really,
Right.
like got me into that kind of thing. But I was kind of a little bit late when I got here, and I couldn't do the pilgrimage, so I met this monk, and so- and I was telling him about this journey I want to go, and he was like, maybe the thing that you are trying to achieve by walking like a few hundred miles in this pilgrimage, and maybe you can do it by just staying in one place.
Right. 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 Right.
So I was
Well, I
like, yeah,
mean,
tell me more. Then he's like, no, like you can come and just stay and start this the sort of a more guided meditative practice under him. So I had like a teacher for a while, or like a guide who was able to kind of orient me, and having a lot of the like like everything else was like either some things that I've read from books, or heard in audio, or like
mhm.
or whatever the sort of practice I had managed to patch together with all the like things that I've read and all that. But then this was like a whole new approach. I just was able to kind of go dive into it with like a more structured
Mhm.
experience. And I
Right.
was
Right.
fascinated because some of the sort of experiences within the sort of meditative states and had seemed to have these parallels with a lot of psychedelic
Yes. Yes. Yes.
experiences, right? And I had this sort of wonderful conversation with some of the monks, and I was like, okay, like these are, I mean, here is a practice that is super old, coming from like old
Right.
like lineages from thousands of years old,
Right.
and there's something that you can just spend like like a few hours, and sometimes like the practice. I mean, when it comes to like the sort of meditative practices, like sometimes you have to practice for, I guess, months, and that proficiency leads you to this experience, and guess what, and there's this thing that you take and you are just there in like 10 minutes.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and it's and this sort of, I encountered these like crazy sort of parallels, so that's something that sort of really sort of was intriguing to me.
Yeah, I
And
think you're right. I mean, I you mentioned that because, or when you mention that, it brings up to mind some of the research that they've done on people who do meditation and they get to levels uh, of a psychedelic experience when they do the meditation. So you don't really need this. Meditation can initiate or, you know, yeah, you just yeah. So I think that meditation is really really important and not something that people use as often as they could or should. Um, so I put up your artwork on here to show everyone your website, and it's just really beautiful. It's mesmerizing, really.
thank you.
Um, and it does. I mean, you mentioned in your bio or what you talk about your mission as a visionary artist, and you create portals of energy gateways. So could you elaborate a little more on that? I mean, because I can see that. How do you, I mean, what's your intent? Do you want people to use it as meditation or, you know, uh, tell us, share that with us if you
And
can.
so like I think it's like when I sort of first started, uh, it's it's kind of like like I started at like when it comes to like my digital work, the first sort of like the drive that I had to like that really motivated me to make the work was like like at one point I was like, no, like I really want to like have like to be able to create like super cool wallpapers for my phone and my PC, like that was one of the earliest things. But then at the same time I was exposed to like a lot of artwork, and I had like a sort of archive of saved images and like and references of other artists, and like my like sort of inspiration, and then sort of it evolved from there. Sort of, I think like one of my greatest inspirations in terms in of the art world is you'd be familiar, I think, Alex Gray.
Yes, 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 yes. He's
So
gonna be in he's gonna be in Denver next month.
oh, nice.
Yeah, doing a dinner, and I was thinking about going, but yeah, he's amazing. So that's interesting that you mentioned him.
So and then like it was, yeah, it was just a matter of uh, I feel like, and yeah, digital tools, and I just love like digital tools, like Photoshop, and like I've always used Photoshop for just
Right,
uh, I would say just design work stuff, and there was no sort of idea of make art making or anything like that. But then it was just sort of it progressed sort of very sort of organically, like I didn't like I was pretty much like self-taught in whatever sort of techniques and everything, just
right,
constantly sort of experimenting, and I do a lot of like photography work as in like
right.
I take a lot of photos, and a lot of the pieces, or a lot of my artwork, they start as photographs,
Okay.
like even the one that was shared for the thumbnail video,
Uh-huh.
like in the
Let's see.
third
This
one.
one right here?
Yeah, that
Okay, serotonin sunrise. Okay.
so that's also like I mean, it's pretty much like the source is like 3 or 4 photographs that I had taken, and then
Oh,
I just
yes, now I can,
added
yeah,
them
I can see
together,
it
and then
now.
did like you know like some Photoshop things over it. So it was
So
just
it's like a collage almost.
you know, and it's like a constant sort of evolution, and like and it was, I think, like that was a way for me to make sense of what was sort of going on,
Mhm.
in terms of sort of the world and within myself, and I felt like that, so it's like this like boundary, or sort of uh, this like the interface of where sort of the world and this inner and outer world sort of collide, and that's where the sort
Right,
of art was showing up, that was my sort of way of making sense of the world and what's like going on,
right, right.
and that way, and then like they became kind of these, like portals, like I like to call them, because something that I do quite a bit is that even when I'm like after I create, sometimes I spend like quite a bit of time, maybe like sometimes even hours. I just like to just go through my own like work, so to speak, just sit down and just dive into an artwork.
Right, right.
And
No, it's
I
very intricate. I mean, if people go to your website, they can really pull up close on it and see all of the details in this that you put into it. It's very fascinating. And I got, and if you were using psychedelics and looking at, I mean, you could really just stare at this for hours. It's really it's
so they,
amazing, and find something new in it all at all points.
yeah,
So
and then that's even for me, like that's there's like a lot of work that sometimes like even I'm like, okay, like even I didn't like see that, like, and these details, and I feel like when I'm making it, and it's absolutely like no sort of, I don't have like a conscious sort of direction or idea. I don't never like sit down and I'm like, okay, I need to make this, it's
right,
like
right,
it just uh,
It's kind of
It's
intuitive.
yeah, it's very very intuitive, and all the titles and
Uh-huh.
everything writing comes sort of way after, or sometimes they are like working titles and they change over time.
Right, right.
And the good thing about some things like minting them as NFTs is that kind of locks it in place, because there's like pieces that, if given enough time, like I would probably change its title every few days. It's
Right, right. No, I get that. I understand. I totally get it. Um, it's really beautiful, and I really like that one piece. Have you ever had any like a revelation or an experience like when you're creating something, you said it kind of unfolds. What's the biggest revelation or the feeling that you've gotten out of some of your pieces?
I would say like biggest revelation. It's been
Well,
some
I
of
mean,
the
it can be anything really. It's doesn't
like
have to be any.
some pieces have been like like very sort of uh, like insightful in terms of my like previous or like past sort of experiences that I've had.
Right,
Then there are like other pieces that which I made, and then like later on, like looking back, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it's about, or
right, right.
like it's
So
like
the revelation often comes after you create it.
uh, yeah, after, or sometimes like I would say even in like process, sometimes it's just like it comes like super fast, and maybe I'm not even like done with the piece, but it gets to a point where it's like, okay, now then it's the matter of finishing the piece, I would say.
Right,
That's something very interesting that I've experienced, is and, that after sort of being sort of initially it was I mean now I would categorize myself as an artist, since I'm sort of perceiving this not just as a hobby or anything else, but as professionally as well. That's what I
right,
want to do. But
right,
that kind of creates like a sort of burden in a way, that where I feel obliged to finish what I'm creating, as opposed to
right,
just, like I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's enough, like just leaving it halfway through and moving on to something else.
right, right. Yeah, no, you do. You have some really, really interesting pieces, and I think people should definitely take some time to just to explore your visions, because I mean, it's um, I mean, like I said, you can just kind of sit with them and get all
There's some
kinds of
audio visual pieces as
yeah.
well. I think if you scroll all the way up to the top, I could. That's
Okay,
one favorite. The second one.
this liquid breath.
That's one of my, actually, like one of my earliest pieces.
Okay,
It's an animated piece, and like
okay.
audio and everything. So it started as a static piece, and that would
Is
be
the
like,
audio coming through?
yes, I believe so. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice. It's very beautiful.
So, and that's like my just like a milestone piece in sort of,
Mhm.
that's like the first proper animated piece that I did as well.
Oh, wow. So did you teach yourself the animation?
Yeah, yeah, like
Okay.
that's
So
After
what
Effects.
tools did you use on the animation?
So it's After Effects,
Oh,
Adobe After
okay.
Effects.
Yep.
All the animations done there, and then for sound, I use software called Reason, Propeller Head Reason. It's like a music production software.
Okay.
That's the,
And all this was done, digitally, but did you use AI at all?
no, not for this. No,
Okay.
so this is from like 20. I would say the completed animation part was completed like latter part of 2021. That's when I
Uh-huh.
sort of got into like NFTs itself.
Right, right. So you've
I
been in
was
it for like 2 years. It's about the same
2 years.
time as I came in. So, Yeah. No,
And this
no,
was
I
like,
really do like that piece.
so this was my Genesis piece as well, and it was collected by Nick as well.
Oh, Nick
And
has it. Oh,
one of
okay.
the
Good. We can
earliest,
show it. No,
yeah, one of the
in public
earliest
since he
times,
owns it.
yeah, like, and he had one of these puzzle competitions, one of the
Uh-huh.
very first that he put out, like,
Yeah.
it was on that, and yeah. So this is 2021. The animated piece is 2021, but the still image of that is like from, I would say, 2013.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
I think as an artist, I don't know if this is the same for you. When you go back and you look at some of your stuff and you think, oh, that was really good, but I can, like you were saying, I can improve it.
yeah,
I can make it something a little different. So, but no, yeah, I do really like that piece and I like the animation for it. So that's great. Um, so, you know, is there anything else that you want to talk about, over, where you're going in the future? What's your plans? Are you focusing on anything as far as, showing your work, or, what's your goals and what's your plans for the future?
plans for the future.
Well, I
It's
mean, I
quite,
know we're in meditation and we always like try to think in the moments, but,
uh,
we do have to plan a little. No.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, like mostly, I think I'm just, like, I guess just create more art, or sort of, that's the sort of, yeah, like that's the kind of goal, or rather, like, goal that
Right.
I have. It's become
You
like,
want to do more collabs? Have you
definitely,
thought of doing collabs
yeah,
with
yeah,
people?
definitely. I did like uh, I've done like two or three collabs at the moment, but
Mhm.
nothing sort of, like, fully involved. I did like two audio visual collabs. I like, uh, there's like one piece called Flow State, another sort of great musician and music artist called Jigsaw General, I believe,
Uh-huh.
on Twitter. He did the audio for it. Yeah. And oh yeah, this piece is one of my latest ones that uses AI.
Oh, okay.
So this is like like I made my like piece, and then I run it through AI. Think, yeah,
Okay.
like,
I like this.
that's the same piece that was on like the homepage. It's like a one
Right.
individual
Right.
piece,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
it's like, and it's like super detailed.
It is.
Or
It is very super
dive in
detailed.
with.
I on these interviews, I at some points I wish that we had like a video that you could show us around of, in your life and your where you live and work, but we're not there yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah, and talking about the like future plans, I would say, yeah, like just make more art. I would say that's as far as I can.
That's as far as you can go into the future.
Yeah, that's as far as I can go in the future. Like, sort of let, like, sort of letting the sort of art determine where I am going, so to speak. Like that's been sort of my guiding guidance and path.
Right.
So yeah, so yeah, and just to be able to share it with the rest of the world, and
Right.
to keep
And
in.
what has been your you know,
Yeah.
are people welcoming of your art? And I mean, I know there's the genre of psychedelic art. So, you seem, I mean, it's amazing. Your work is amazing. So, I'm guessing that you've gotten a lot of really good feedback and fans, really.
Yeah, like within the community, it's great. I mean, again, it's a bit of a niche genre, right? Like, where
Right.
I'm from in like Sri Lanka, it's very sort of under uh, underrated, and I would say under appreciated as a genre. But there are like people who are interested in the work, that's for sure. But
Right.
it's a small group. But I mean, something to say, like within coming to the NFT space, that's where I sort of found my sort of affinity group, or I would say community.
Right.
So
Your
many,
tribe, as I call them.
yeah, so many great visionary artists, and and it's been, that's actually like changed sort of my entire sort of approach towards art, like
Right.
and it's been a extreme like great like learning experience, like things that I thought, and I mean, even before in the NFT space was there, of course there is like social media like Instagram and all that,
Right.
and the internet, and but like I never really for all those years, it, it was not like that sense of community. I don't know,
Mhm.
maybe I didn't have access to it perhaps, or like I wasn't getting out there enough. But in either case, like I was not able to interact with it or find that community. But along
Well,
with the NFT space, that's what
yeah.
happened, that's, I'm like forever grateful for that, to
Well, and
be
I
able.
think that you're right. I mean, finding your community, being online, I think for the last 2 years is it just breaks down the barriers. If you don't have a local community that appreciates your style of art, then you have the world. The social media gives you access to the world. So, breaks down the barriers. So that's a positive, I think. With all the negative that happens with social media, that's a positive.
For sure.
You found your tribe. So, if anybody else was interested in getting into psychedelic art, what advice would you give them? I mean, you just follow your heart, start meditating? No.
That also, but like I would say, like I mean, uh, advice as in like let's see, what how would I say? I mean, I guess it's I mean, yeah, completely like looking at it from the point of view of like a genre itself, right? Like psychedelic and I would say visionary art. It's about sort of
Right.
diving deep into sort of like one's own sort of personal introspective experience and seeing how it sort of maps out to the rest of the world and out
Mhm.
the outside, and uh, like from that uh, sort of bringing forth like some like bringing forth a vision from that. I don't know whether if anything I said just made sense, but yeah, it's kind of like I like I'm like it's like you journey into, it's like a journey, like you're just journeying into the unknown, and
Right.
and like you find something interesting and you just bring it back and you'll be like, look what I found, like that's how I that sort of sense of exploration and novelty.
Right.
Uh, but I then within that, like I also feel that it's like super important to sort of uh, think in terms of technique as well, because I think
Right.
that's something that I've really sort of started to appreciate over the years, is like how much there's so much of say like truth and wisdom in the techniques themselves,
Right.
that sort of that innate kind of the say knowledge of the tools almost, that's why I like
Mhm.
really like kind of like AI work as well. I'm diving deep into that because it's like out of the sort of it's a really sort of interesting to see what comes out of just as the result of exploring the tools.
Right. Right. Well, and if
And
you're a photographer, you probably use it a lot in your workflow now that, I don't know if you've played around with feeding in your photography and then, getting the results back.
yeah, yeah,
So,
a lot, yeah. And even these are like even like art, even these art pieces, I have like I've been feeding a lot of my earlier work to the
mhm.
through the AI, and it's like some pieces, and I have like quite a bit of work that's like probably like 200-300 like pieces altogether. That's just sitting on my hard drive, and from some there are some pieces that I like not touched for like a few years, because it's like gotten to that point of completion, but it's like it's been there, like I know it's not complete, but I don't really know what to do to sort of complete it. But with
Time
AI,
hasn't come yet.
and it was like with the AI, it was like, oh, like this was what I was kind of almost like waiting for, like
Right.
it's kind of unlocked the sort of
Right.
next
Right. Yeah.
progression of things, so
Yeah.
it was like, and it's like it's like all the sort of some of the work, it felt like I had to sort of create this work, and I had to hold it until the sort of this tool was there, and that tool just allowed me to, and the only thing I had to do was like, like just tweak a bit of the settings and just plug the entire artwork in, like, no post manipulation of the AI piece or anything. It's just that the piece that I had created was the sort of that was what was needed to like
Right. I
for
look
the
at it as a collaborative approach, working with, AI or technology. I mean, it's really just a tool for me, working it into your process. So it seems to have you've gotten great results and figured out how to kind of manipulate it to get what you want back, and that's half the problem or half the challenge anyway. So yeah, that's great. I think that I really appreciate you showing us your art. It's really fascinating. I will have to look at it when I'm using a little cannabis in the future.
uh,
And
yeah, that's
see what I can get.
I don't mean to sort of advocate any of it, but yes, that would be a ideal state to experience a lot of my work.
Right, right. Well, I can imagine. I plan on doing some garden. I have a garden, and I was planning on doing some garden parties this summer, and I got a projector. So I'm going to project these art, my art, your art, whoever, onto like a big outside screen at night.
Oh, that
And of
would be
course I will, will be enjoying some cannabis at that time. So I'll give you the feedback when that happens.
oh yeah, would love to hear what you say.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really is mesmerizing. The more I look at this, the more I see different things. And then if you, look up really close, you can see the details, which is fascinating. So great job. Great job. I'm glad you got into this art, and I really hope that people can appreciate the details and what goes into it, because it's definitely mesmerizing. So is there anything else you would like to share with the viewers? Or we can
No,
take some questions, because we have a couple of
yes,
people in the audience,
yeah.
and
If
I think a
anyone
lot of
has any,
people watch on YouTube, or they watch on Twitter, and we don't have a way to communicate with them. But there's a couple of people, Martine and Ren Garajan. If they have any questions, we can open it up for questions. Is that okay with you?
that's completely all right. Yeah, if
Okay,
anyone has
so
any
let's just see. And okay, we're open for questions. We also have another event coming up at 11 or 10 o'clock Pacific
questions,
Standard Time. So yeah, I have a hard stop today. Otherwise, I would sit and talk to you for hours, and that would not be good, because then I would take up your time. So
That's in about like 15-20 minutes, right? The next
yeah, we have a few more minutes.
like, awesome.
So, and we can. So I want to remind people to, if you're listening to us on Twitter, to go ahead and retweet the show information so that you can get a chance to win the beautiful poet that with the artwork. And so
Okay, we got
yeah,
a question there
I will
from.
be looking. It'll be a little longer today, so if people tag the download show and stuff on it, I will look it up and get and send everybody their link. It's really easy to collect the poets. So
Yeah. So yeah, we got a question. Is that
okay,
what are the tools that you have used to create this art? You have said Photoshop. Apart from that, is there? So to answer that, uh, almost all my work, like the still images, are made from like Photoshop itself completely. Even the shapes and stuff, it's like I've just drawn from Photoshop, and like the basic shapes that I use, I actually have like a separate Photoshop file which I sort of use as templates.
right,
But like everything is done like from the drawing to the coloring, and drawing in the sense like, I mean, it's all like and it's mouse and keyboard. I don't use like a drawing tablet or anything. Like it's
oh
all
wow,
mouse and keyboard, and it's base like the even in Photoshop it's like super basic stuff. It's just that the repetition of the process, it's what gives its complexity. There is no sort of advanced techniques and stuff. And for um, animation, it's After Effects, Adobe After Effects. That's my go-to tool for animation. And for the audio in the pieces, the audio visual pieces, that's made from a DAW called Reason, Propeller Head Reason, it's called. That's what I primarily use. So that's the three sort of basic tools that I use: Photoshop,
yeah.
After
And
Effects. Yeah.
Martine had a question also.
Yes, I mentioned photography and AI. Do you take? I take AI. Mm, that's interesting. Yeah, like so. I use like AI just to sort of experiment sort of as well. Like text to image kind of prompting as well. But a lot of the work that I sort of shared and where I use or sort of that I consider complete are results of sort of image to image. So pretty much in a way of sort of using the AI as a sort of almost like a glorified filter, to sort
Right,
of take portions of my work and sort of run it through that sort of ideation process, and the AI as like a filter. And yes, and I definitely feel like like the with the AI, I've been able to sort of create certain visuals and certain explore certain aesthetics that are like very appropriate for that psychedelic sort of that are quite resonates well with psychedelic experiences. So, and that sort of aesthetic in general, like just yeah, it's like
which I was going to ask you. You said that you use Photoshop. What is how many layers do you use? I mean, what I mean, do you get into the
not
hundreds or?
because I have a habit of flattening the layers as I
Oh,
go
okay,
on. So every few 3-4 layers I flatten it,
right,
because
okay,
if I keep any of the layers, I'm going to be like like, okay, like I can, maybe I should go back and tinker around with this layer, move it around. So I make it a habit to sort of flatten the work as I go, and sort of
right,
every, I mean, I back up every, I don't know, like the don't like every sort of major change that happens, I keep a backup of the piece. But
right,
then
right.
after a while, I make it a point to go back and delete all the backups. So there's no way for me to sort of be like, oh, I should change this. So it's like I keep myself always.
That's very familiar. I do that too.
Yeah. That's the only way I can actually finish any of my work. If not, like I will never.
Well, yeah, because then you forget which one was like the master final, because I do the same thing.
So yeah,
So,
like so AI has yeah, and for AI, my main sort of what I use is stable diffusion.
okay.
Uh,
All right.
that's the primary like tool that I've been using.
Everybody has their own little favorite, I guess. I started out with collab notebooks basically and hated those, but I liked it when they started, getting, the stable diffusion and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, now I'm running it like locally as well. So
oh, are you? Okay. Yeah, I
uh,
wanted to. How was that? Was setting it up? Was it pretty
it's
simple for
actually
you?
like super easy. I will
Okay.
definitely I'll drop you a link. There's like some great like there's like a YouTube video that just was like super straightforward in how to get it installed and up and running. I will drop
Oh
the.
yeah, definitely share it.
It's just that I'm running it on my laptop and it gets super toasty. Like I'm. That's the
Oh
thing.
right,
It's like that's the downside to it, but it's much more efficient than sort of running it on Google Colab or something. That's what it's super easy.
right.
And oh yeah, and just something related to like nifty dreams as well. So, like I was thinking, like like I'm maybe there's something in the future that can be done. I would be more than glad to sort of share the techniques that
Yeah,
I
definitely.
my techniques and all that. So maybe that's
Well, I
something
would.
that we
Yeah,
can
maybe we can do an
online
uh,
sort of small
yeah,
like
a
workshop or
class or
something like that.
something.
Perhaps on like Discord or something for
Right,
the.
right, right. I'm setting up some online collaborative spaces on niftydreams.com. So hopefully that'll be coming out soon as far as announcements. And I should talk to you about possibly doing like a class. And other people in the Nifty Dreams DAO, I'm looking, when I get it set up, I'll definitely be looking for content people to help with that. So keep an eye out for that. So, but it did those answer your questions, guys? Because I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up if we're done with the questions. And thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot. I hope that this was positive experience for
Oh,
you.
it's wonderful. Yes.
And we'll keep tweeting it out, and people can check it out and see your work. And so, yeah, very exciting. And looking forward to doing more stuff with you in the
Likewise.
future.
Yes.
So, thanks everybody for joining us today. Don't miss out on our next Wednesday at the same time, same place. Thanks so
Thanks
much.
everybody for yeah
Do you have
coming.
some final words?
Oh, just to thank everyone for joining us and thank you for hosting this wonderful space as well.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. All right, I'm going to put on the transition here, and we'll let it go.
All right.
All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.